If you don't believe in cloning, I'm sure you do now.
No.
Why?
Because
Why do you put it in at the end?
Because relax.
Isn't that the one you just ate off of?
No.
Extra flavor.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. That's what I use.
Okay. When I was younger, obviously every son's dad is his hero. And my dad was certainly that for me. And he was a great baseball player. Still is, probably. I don't know if he can still move as much, but. And I was really into baseball, really enjoyed sports. And my dad was always there to kind of help me pitch and throw and bat, and always cheering in the stands. Always remember that.
And I didn't miss a game. Away, home.
I would say this like tight relationship of him always there and just enjoying each other's company probably lasted until I would say seventh or eighth grade.
This kid really, I can't say it on camera, but you can edit it out. He really makes
And as I was getting older, I was recognizing that I wasn't necessarily the best baseball player anymore on the team. Like I wasn't the best pitcher, I wasn't the best hitter. And I think that probably deflected me a little bit, and I didn't want to necessarily play baseball anymore. But I wanted to skateboard, I wanted to grow out my hair, wear the biggest pants I could find, like looks like I would hover towards you. I would sneak in his, I mean at the time, he was huge. So I was probably like a 24 waist.
and I had a size 44 pants at the time, long. I would come home from work and I'd pull up in the driveway and I'd see him and said, damn, those look like my blue jeans. I mean, he even had my belt on and went around him twice.
It's a true story. So I would go and steal his pants, or any pants. I'd be like, Dad, do you want these? No, I don't want them. So I would cut them off because I was still shorter and they would be able to fit. You wouldn't even see my shoe. Couldn't even see my shoe. But that was the thing. The bigger the pants, the cooler you were.
I would just look, I'd just shake my head, and there was times, who are those kids? I don't know. Even though one of them was mine, well, he looks like you. He didn't come from these loins, I tell him.
But I know throughout that process, I quit baseball, and I know that hurt my dad. I know that bothered my dad, but it wasn't like I don't care about his feelings. It's just I wanted to skateboard. This is the direction I want to do, and
it was definitely a rough time. I was depressed, but kind of down.
And that lasted, I would say, really throughout high school, of just not wanting to play sports. Although I did swim and play water. When I was 13 years old, my dad said, "Hey, there's a guy who owns a restaurant in our neighborhood. His name's Gerard. Would you be interested in dishwashing?" And I thought, yeah, a chance to make a little money. Like I have no direction. I'm just skateboarding, long hair, big pants, whatever. I'll just try this out. And from my story a little bit that food is just always in our life. My grandparents, everyone, always, they come in the door, we're eating dinner, what's for breakfast tomorrow? We're eating breakfast, what's for dinner that night? When my dad met my mom in a restaurant, he was a cook, she was a waitress. So this just always goes back. So knowing his past, I'm like, oh, I think I'd like to give that a shot. And I loved it. And my dad, you immediately knew that I was kind of in love with it.
Yep.
But still during this time, I would say we struggled to connect. All my dad was trying to do was connect with me because through sports was his desire. I went to culinary school in Arizona. I was really pretty homesick, and that's when it hit me for the first time, like, dang, I've been in the care of these people for 18 years and they did it so well, but we didn't connect overly well, I would say. Even though, there was a relationship. I know he loved me and he knows I loved him, but there wasn't a strong relationship during that time. And so when I graduated, I moved back to Missouri and I was starting my professional restaurant gigs and experience. And we started to talk maybe a little bit more during that time. And then I think the biggest thing was when I decided I wanted out of the restaurant industry and wanted to go maybe pursue higher education, get a degree, a bachelor's degree. And so my first weekend there in college at the University of Missouri, I had my first Saturday off in like 10 years. Like I had never had a Saturday off in my life because I'd always worked in the restaurant industry. So I'm tailgating. I go to my first college football game at Mizzou, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is what people do on Saturdays? I had no idea. This is incredible. So I called my dad that next day on Sunday, and I'm like, Dad, holy cow, telling him about the tailgating, the game we won, the quarterback, the running back, tight end, wide receiver, whatever, the defense. And we're just going back and forth. All of a sudden, I've talked to my dad for like an hour and a half. And I hang up the phone, I'm thinking, I've never talked to my dad that long on the phone. I've never talked to him that long on the phone. And it was, became a routine thing. Every Sunday, throughout my entire college career, we would spend hours just talking about who played who, what was the game like, did you watch that, what did they say on game day? And we just laughed and just talked. And all of a sudden was this incredible connection, again, with my dad, just talking, just having an open conversation, just talking. After I graduated, we still kept this kind of college football sports bond, and
we still have it.
We still have it. And I was going to some church, and some guy invited me to something. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And it really was about connecting with your past and reconciling with your past and moving forward. I tell everyone at the table, like, some of these guys had really been through some stuff with their dad. And I thought, man, I don't really have that story with him. My dad's had always been there, whatever, any sporting event I was ever at, just always took the time, and he was there. He was a wonderful provider, and he's always just been awesome. But there was a disconnect throughout that, 6-7 year period. So finally, after thinking about it, after watching this stuff, I called him. I'm like, Dad, you know that I love you, and I know that I love you. But at this stage, I'm 26 years old, and we never even tell each other we love each other. So I'm like, it's time, okay? So ever since that day, which was, I guess, 17, 18 years ago, we make sure we tell each other we love each other every time we hang up the phone. And that was a big piece. But there was this one time, it was my birthday, it was July 4th. And I got up early, we were in Michigan visiting, and I was like, Dad, let's go get breakfast. I'm not sure if you remember this. And so we're sitting down, it's quiet, we're like the only people in there drinking coffee. I'm like, Dad, what's one thing you wish Grandpa did with you that he didn't do? And my dad said, I wish he would have got more into sports with me.
Yeah.
And I thought, my heart really broke for a minute there, because there was this 6-7 year period where my dad wanted this connection that he necessarily didn't get with his dad. And it kind of punched me a little bit. And I thought, man, all my dad was trying to do was connect with me, and I didn't give that to him, because through sports was his desire to connect with his dad.
Yeah, it's cheap, that's correct.
And food always finds its way somehow back to, while sports is there, food has always been intertwined a little bit in cooking, because my dad would call, even after those Sunday, we'd have this hour-long conversation about football, and out of nowhere, yeah, so, man, Michigan really, really played good. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, so if I had a couple pork chops, what would you say I do with that, or would be a nice sauce? I'm like, Dad, if you just want to talk about recipes of food, just hit it. We'll just talk about that. Like how people talk about a game, him and I was be like, oh my gosh, I cooked this steak 2 weeks ago. Like, it's probably the best steak I've ever had in my life. It's just funny just how food just still a part of our lives, and always comes back full circle.
Being Italian, you breaded everything. You breaded pancakes, you breaded eggs, you bread steak, you bread chicken, okay?
Yeah, I definitely remember eating breaded steak as a kid, and even, gosh, probably had it in the last few years just going back to his house. It's good, it's simple, And the sauce, like you said, it is almost like an Italian salsa. Strong flavors, but delicious. Goes on everything, and it's just good. It's just really good food. The best part is just getting to spend time with my dad and being able to eat it and cook it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even like
Our relationship has been awesome. We are free and open to talk about anything. There's no guardrails or doors or.
No, I can only wish that every father has a relationship like we have.